Sorry baby, I just don't know the words or how to conjugate down. Was it really past tense I heard, or was it present perfect? Maybe we could forget the time you faced that friend without me. Maybe we could go back to mine, pretend it never happened. Oh, when we're always out of time, and you say it will be fine, well I just can't find the lines. Oh, I hope I know what to say when you throw it all away. Sorry baby, I'm drifting again. Could you repeat the question? No, I guess I do not know when it first became a problem. Sorry that it's all such a mess. The words, they seem to leave me, didn't really quite catch the rest. Not keen on it repeating. Oh, when we're always out of time, and you say it will be fine, well I just can't find the lines. Oh, I hope I know what to say when you throw it all away. When you throw it all away. Sorry baby, I just don't know the words. Was it really past tense I heard? Maybe we could forget the time. Maybe we could go back to mine. Well, I think that I've been drifting without you, drifting. I think that I've been drifting without you, drifting. I think that I've been drifting without you, drifting. I think that I've been drifting without you, drifting. And now I know that you've been gone.
Pretty, you go out drinking every night, dancing long into moonlight. I wanna stay, but I don't wanna fight with you. Oh, pretty, when you say you're working overtime, I always know that you're telling me lies. I see your pictures posted online with you. And when you said I love you, that's when I said I love you. I do. Pretty, when did the love go away? Was it ever here to stay? Wish I could just turn and run away with you. Oh, pretty, I see you with some other guy. Sometimes it makes me wanna cry. Some days I even wish I could die with you. And when you said I love you, that's when I said I love you. I'm pretty. Lately I've thought about the past, when our love was so wide and vast. I wonder if things could have lasted with you. Oh, pretty, I call you lately but I get no reply. I wanna see you but afraid am I to go and then see that other guy with you. Pretty, why can't I stop the way I feel? can say the pain's too real. I think about you and I reel. I'm pretty. I need to stay away from the phone. I'm afraid I'll fall down this hole further than ever
This is more than a crush, more than a like, more than a love. Baby, I'ma make you mine. Whoa. This is more than a crush, more than a like, more than a love. Baby, I'ma make you mine. Whoa. This is more than a crush, more than a like paper, I need it. Ayy, shout out to Sebby, I need the green. That nigga cold, I'ma need it. Bad bitch like what I become, so she gon' eat the semen. Hey, 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 let's get live on a Saturday night, nigga, feel just like Keenan. Let's get live, fuck it on pie. Oh, she said that when she see me, she wanna fight. It's more than a crush, it's more than a lie. Like, in love with the paper, money hungry for life. Let's get live, hold on, inside. Peel off, that's right. Two-tone whip with a Glock inside. Who shot, not I. I'm up the top, I'm just tryna live high. We the youngest who just living life. We just tryna kick it, let's get live. We tryna kick it, pull up to the dojo. Me and my whole crew got a bad like a hobo. I'm up the gas and it bit moving slow-mo. But can't no one fuck me over, I'm on go-go. Pull up the car, having horses like polo. With the bros, but I'm still riding solo. How you gon' hate if you bro, that's a no-no. I got this motherfucker jumping like Pogo. I got it jumping, grab the carbon blues on me, I'm having motion. I'm money hungry if you touch my plate. Then we gon' start a commotion. Bitch, I'm way too deep in the function, I cannot focus. Way too many actions from you woods, we need lotion. KD, I swear I don't never be on bro shit. AP, the way I'm running shit, I copy frozen. This is more than a crush, more than a like, bitch, I need Rex. Niggas ain't seeing me, need cataracts. Graduated, but I don't like the kelp. I feel like Queen Latifah could set it off and we stay with a strap. M's, I'ma make you mine. Run it up and put my team on the map, let's go. This is more than a crush, more than a like paper, I need it. Ayy, shout out to Sebby, I need the green. That nigga cold, I'ma need it. Bad bitch like what I become, so she gon' eat the semen. Hey, 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 let's get live on a Saturday night, nigga, feel just like Keenan. Let's get live, fuck it on pie. Oh, she said that when she see me, she wanna fight. It's more than a crush, it's more than a lie. Like, in love with the paper, money hungry for life. Let's get live, hold on, inside. Peel off, that's right. Two-tone whip with a Glock inside. Who shot, not I. I'm up the top, I'm just tryna live high. We the youngest who just living life. We just tryna kick it, let's get live. Don't run away, don't run away from the truth. I'm not giving up.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is another episode of Nerdy Live. And guys, in between episodes, something awesome happened. If you don't mind, we're going to do some self-glazing for a second with the channel. So the channel has actually reached 2.3K. And that's due to the most recent video on the channel, which is... It'd be easier if I just go here. Which is this one right here. The racist comic book fan one. That was really fun to make, and it's awesome to see that video do so well. It's now in like my top 5 most viewed videos of all time, which again I have to massively thank you guys for doing that, because it's really awesome. Thank you all so much. The goal for 2025 is to reach 3K, which I think is a possibility. I definitely think that's a possibility. 700 subs in a year. I think we can get that somehow, right? But more importantly, okay. So Mr. Beast has finally spoken out. Now with the soggy video, that obviously that's where we really first start seeing him speak up a lot, because he was commenting on the video, he was DMing creators Soggy's video in question, and I don't think we talked about it in full detail. But the funny thing is, originally speaking, the interview that we're about to watch was supposed to be with more Pegasus and Mr. Beast. But Mr. Beast decided at last minute to not do the video with more Pegasus and instead went to Oompaville instead. Now, if you guys remember, Oompaville did the interview with Dogpack 404, and he received a lot of criticism from that, mainly from Nicholas Diorio. And in my opinion, I think it was a interview where he definitely could have pushed back a lot more, especially when Dogpack brought up new allegations in that interview. But you know what? Hey, I mean, people have said the same thing about my interview with Jay with the review tech drama. So what I'm hoping is that Oompa actually does a good job pushing back. Now, from what I understand, this interview was set up kind of at the last minute. So realistically, I don't expect him to hit all the hard points, because obviously I have questions that I want to ask Mr. Beast that probably aren't going to get answered in this video. Now, that being said, what I'm really worried about in this, because this is about over 2 hours long. What I'm worried about is Oompa asked him a genuinely good question, and then he's like, "Well, I can't answer that because of legal matters." Right? That's my one concern. But yeah, here we go. It's gonna be a long one, boys. Strap in, get a coffee, get an energy drink, get whatever you can to spice up your morning, because we're in this for the long haul. Let's begin.
Are you going to sue Dogpack?
Well,
MrBeast is currently on a private jet on his way to where I live in Central Texas to have a conversation with me with the intention of addressing the controversy that he has been involved in over the last few months. And I think that it is important for me to document my intentions before embarking on this risky and difficult task. I am not Scott Pelley. I am not a hard-hitting genius investigative journalist. I'm a YouTuber with a medium-sized platform. I am currently doing journalism, to be fair, but I am goofy, all right? Also, back in August, I platformed Dogpack, and out of fairness, I feel that it is important to do the same for MrBeast. MrBeast has agreed to keep an open line of communication. He'll only be here for a little bit, which is crazy because he's flying halfway across the country. And he and his team have agreed to provide us with evidence and information to give proof to claims so we can actually be as transparent here as possible. The goal of this video is not for it to please everyone or gotcha somebody. It is for this video to be a meaningful source of information. So to future me and you currently viewing, I'm sure I missed some questions, but I absolutely did my best, and I stand behind the result, maybe, and I look forward to seeing the comments and criticism. Firstly, would you be willing to put your hand on this Bible and swear?
oh my gosh,
be
you
honest.
actually have a Bible?
I have two Bibles.
Are you being serious?
I am being serious.
Okay.
I'm swear. We're both from the South. This will be an honest video.
Oh, your laptop's blocking it.
Oh, whoops. This will be an honest video. You're a man from North Carolina.
This clip was on Twitter, and I remember everyone was like, "What the fuck? You're supposed to be a serious interview." And I can't say I don't disagree with that. It's just obviously you want to make sure when you're doing an interview like this, right? Especially with very serious topics surrounding it, you kind of want to make sure that you get your the person that you're interviewing comfortable before you start hitting them with the very damning questions, But
Carolina. I'm from Virginia.
The Bible Belt.
The Bible Belt,
Yep.
exactly.
I know what this means.
This means it's legit.
Yes. Okay.
There we go.
I was not expecting that. Okay.
This is like legal now.
It is. I could go to jail.
The first biggest question for me and a lot of people that I've spoken to over the last couple months is like, why were you so silent? Especially off the bat. Like, you did respond to the Ava Tyson.
Yeah, here's what he said when the Ava stuff came out. Over the last few days, I've become aware of the serious allegations of Ava Tyson's behavior online. I am disgusted and opposed to such unacceptable acts. During this time, I have been focused on hiring an independent third party to conduct a thorough investigation to ensure I have all the facts. That said, I've seen enough online and taken action to remove Ava from the company, my channel, and any association with MrBeast. I do not condone or support any inappropriate actions. I will allow the independent investigators the necessary time to conduct a comprehensive investigation and will take any further action based on their findings.
And stuff immediately, but like, you know, right after that, a bunch of other stuff came out, and Dawson's video, his first video, gained a bunch of traction. What was your reasoning for being so silent immediately?
No, it's a great question to kick it off on. You actually kind of laid out the timeline there. The Ava stuff came out, and I put out that tweet. We hired the investigators to go look into it. And part of that investigation is they recommended that I not talk about drama or really do anything online because it might influence, you know, witnesses or any people they might interview or ex-employees. So it's a little unfortunate because I told them, okay, I'll wait till the investigation is over. And I believe that was literally like a week before the dog pack video came out. And then truthfully, just in transparency, I've never done one of these like big investigations before. And in my head, it was going to last like 2 or 3 weeks. It ended up taking a couple months, apparently combing through all the documents and doing all the interviews and everything. Just took way longer than I thought because I've never had to bring in a top tier law firm and a former federal prosecutor and let them, do this really big thing. And so that kind of concluded a couple weeks ago when I put out the tweet of the follow-up.
Yeah.
Like that was the day I got.
Oh god, okay, why is it that you showed the close-up tweet, but then you don't? Why is this one so far away? What the heck? Okay, but basically, I think we went over that tweet when it came out. Basically, like he shows the documents there showing that there was no, according to at least like the Ava Tyson stuff, there was no knowledge of their behavior in the workplace.
At the conclusion of it, and I was like, okay, in transparency, I'll throw this out. So up until that point, it was, I told Quinn Emanuel that, to protect the integrity, I wouldn't do anything or engage in any of this drama. And then after that, yeah, like you said, a lot of stuff had come out between when the investigation started and when it ended, and I was just kind of like, whoa, I don't really know how to like hit this stuff. And I made like a little response video, but that's just kind of not my style, where I just kind of like put a lot of the information that I assume we're going to talk about here out. And it just felt weird. Yeah, I mean, truthfully, I've never been in a situation where people have thrown this much stuff at me, and I definitely could have handled it better. Like I probably should have, like the second I could have talked, like, I don't remember the exact date, 2 or 3 weeks ago when we put that report out, probably should have done something like this right then. If I could go back in time, I would. And yeah, that's kind of like the brain dump, and then here I am.
Yeah, so I was going to ask, you answered it towards the end, but like, do you regret that, obviously?
Yeah, if I could go back in time, I would do what we're doing here, because I assume this is like the correct format. It's going to be a little bit more free-flowing and natural, and I wouldn't have wasted so much time like trying to do a response. It's just not.
Well, you want to make sure that there's like an investigation done, legally speaking, so that way, like because like unfortunately, the way people were framing it, I think I accidentally said this at one point too, was that it was an internal investigation when in reality they hired a separate third party to investigate everything, and it was like people were saying that MrBeast bought off the law firm so that way they would be positive towards him. Unfortunately, with as big as MrBeast is and how hated he is, even if what he's saying is truthful, there's going to be a huge chunk of people that are always going to not like him and not believe him. Like, I think, for example, like Nick said it in his live stream on this, that there are a bunch of people on r/drama that are like, well, even if he's innocent, I still hate him, and I'm still going to spread this because he works with Logan Paul and KSI. And it's like, well, I mean, you can't. That's false. You can't be spreading that type of malicious information, especially if it's false, just because you hate someone.
Not my thing. It's I like so much better, or I'm assuming. I mean, we just started, but I think I'm gonna like so much better being asked the questions and answer it instead of just like sitting in a chair like this answering it. It just feels a little more natural.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean that definitely, you know, that does line up obviously with what's happened, and it makes sense. And I definitely, you know, I feel like, you know, before talking to you, I definitely would imagine that you would regret have not making a response early.
Oh,
right?
100%.
Like that, because that you could have just immediately, if there is information to debunk Dogpack's his first video off the bat.
Yeah, which obviously had so much disinformation in it. If anyone saw Sagi's video or any of the newer videos now coming out, like you would see so much. So much of it. So it's it's unfortunate that it happened on the back end of when I said I would not talk about or address drama and things. And I mean, there's obviously should have done this sooner. Whoops, but hey, better late than never.
Yeah. Did you think it would get this big?
No, I mean, truthfully, I thought, like, if you watch Sagi's video or any of these other videos that are coming out now showing all the discrepancies, I honestly thought a lot of people would find, like, the information proving the dishonesty earlier.
The Google?
Because a lot of this could have been, just figure out Google. A lot of this.
Well, see, this is like the crucial, like, obviously when you're a content creator, you should do your due diligence and like research stuff. Like, for example, More Pegasus should have been researching this stuff instead of just regurgitating all of Dogpack's points. But like your average viewer, especially, is not going to do their own research on the matter. No, they're just going to like people are not investigators usually. Your average YouTube viewer is not an investigator. So normally what they do is they just watch a video, they have it on, and then, bam, they either believe what they hear in the video or they don't. It's that simple. And at least because like you have to understand like the way Dogpack frames stuff, especially in his first video, which was the one that looked the most credible. People, especially like your average viewer, came away thinking that this was a closed case against MrBeast, you know? Not saying that was obviously the correct way of going about it. I think, because we've seen this dozens of times, I think audience members have a bias of listening to whoever speaks on something first. Because, like, for example, I guarantee you that, like, if someone came out and was like, hey, I had a relationship with this girl, it ended badly, and she claims that she wants to accuse me of like X, Y, and Z, right? I bet you a good chunk of people would believe that person. I think the majority of people they believe what they hear first, especially when it comes to serious allegations like that. Because I think generally and naively, most people want to believe that someone wouldn't want to lie about that. However, especially if you're in this space, we've learned a long time ago that yes, people will lie about stuff like this purely out of spite or out of wanting to get clout. So yeah, there you go.
This could, and now I also have to be clear. Like I'm not perfect, and I'm not saying I've never done anything wrong, and you can't criticize me. Like there are things I deserve criticism for, and I'm sure we'll get to some of those things in here. But there are a lot of things that are just not true, and you know, on those things, like, I mean. We'll just get to it throughout this because I'm sure you're going to ask me the questions. But there's just a lot of disinformation that was easily proved wrong. Like the big one that, I mean, videos with tens of millions of views collectively, you know, claiming I called a guy Delaware because he committed a crime in Delaware. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, that is not true. His name was just Delaware. I didn't, you know, call him Delaware to make fun of him or anything. And
it was on his Best Buy work shirt.
I mean, I'm sure you're going to ask me about it later. Yeah. But like, there's literally... He was in a video before I hired him working at Best Buy wearing a name tag that said Delaware. Mm-hmm. And like that was public information. And like, you know, anyone could have saw that. And like even during when that was like getting
now, like admittedly, I think for the most part, like even though I would say like I was a bit skeptical on some Dogpack's points. I definitely should have done my own research, and that's on me. I'm glad people like Soggy have been able to bring this to light. Now, this is what I'm wondering, right? Did MrBeast did he always have this type of interview planned? Where it's like, okay, after the third party investigation's over with, I'm going to go to someone's channel and I'm going to do an interview and we're going to get the truth out there. Or was it because of Soggy's video and how it's been, for the most part, well received for people who are, on the fence? It's never going to convince the anti-MrBeast people, unfortunately. But do you think Soggy's video inspired him to do the interview, or do you think he always had this planned? Obviously, after the third-party investigation, I would imagine he always wanted to get the truth out there, or what he thinks is the truth. But I definitely think the Soggy video helped kickstart that, because, well, technically he doesn't have to do his own research now. He can just pull up as Soggy said in his video. He doesn't have to bring as many receipts now.
Shared a lot a couple months ago. I even sent that to a couple of YouTubers. I was like, hey, just so you know, I didn't call him Delaware because of this messed up thing. That was just his name, and here's proof. Mm-hmm. And I guess I probably shouldn't say the name of the creators, but one of them literally just said to me, well, it's not really cool to like you or defend you right now, so I don't really care whether or not it's true, or I don't want to take the video down because then people are gonna think I'm controlled opposition. I was like, whoa. And then also that same photo, are you gonna throw some things on the screen for them?
Definitely.
Yeah, so throw it on the screen. That same photo, right after that second Dogpack video, started to get traction on Reddit, and saying hey, this is a lie. Jimmy didn't call him Delaware to make fun of him, committing a crime in Delaware. That's just his name. And it got taken down by the mods on r/YouTube drama. And that's when I realized,
dude, the clear bias that r/YouTube drama, especially the mods, have been showing is unreal, man. Because recently there have been a couple of posts about if people should trust Dogpack, if Rosanna should be trusted, that kind of stuff. And the moderators take that down because they say it's not related to YouTube drama, even though very clearly it is. People for their own reasons have this big bias against MrBeast. I think it's because it was cool to see MrBeast rise up, but now everyone wants to see him fall and fail. Because I guess we're just like that as an audience. You want to see the biggest stars fall down, right? Now, can MrBeast recover from this? I think he can. I just don't think he's going to get the success that he used to anymore. And by that, I mean, instead of getting 100 million viewed video, he's probably going to get 20 million views now. Which, to anyone, 20 million views would be a lifesaver. That would be oh my God, I need to start my YouTube career now. But obviously, it's tough to say right now if this is severely going to affect him. But I wouldn't be surprised if, in the next few years, he has to lay some people off because, granted, this is prior to the Soggy video, but all the videos that he's released after Dogpack's video have been underperforming for his standards. So I'm curious to see how this is going to affect him in the algorithm long term.
Anytime there's a post proving that I'm not evil, they were taking it down. So it was a little unfortunate too, because I wasn't saying anything. And then on Reddit, anytime something was proving that I wasn't evil or, contrarian to what everyone was saying, they were suppressing it or censoring it, not trying to sound extreme.
So you're saying it's like a echo chamber, which Reddit r/YouTube drama is.
Yeah, I know, but it's unfortunate when there's a post with 10,000 upvotes claiming something false about you, and then then a couple people are like, wait, that's not true, here's proof. and then they delete it every time. So then everyone's like, okay, well then that must be true because they're also deleting the comments on that post that prove it's not. So then then it's just like now, again, I'm not trying to sound extreme, but it's just like, oh, you're censoring information. And then that paired with other YouTubers, when I would call them and share it with them, they'd just be like, well, I don't want to be a MrBeast Glazer, so I don't really. They wouldn't say it this direct, but they would just essentially say like, I don't really care if it's true or not. I'm just gonna say what other people say. Like, sorry.
Do you have evidence of like people there being posts that existed and then didn't exist on Reddit that got?
Of course. Yeah, I can send you.
Yeah, if you'd send me anything,
you could throw it up
that.
on screen. I mean, that's not like a conspiracy theory. That's
of course. Yeah.
Just, we can find quite a few.
I'm not that good at using Google. So I'll need you to help me with that. Yeah. So to circle back to the Quinn Emanuel investigation, the big thing on the internet, on Twitter specifically, was that you found yourself to be innocent. Of course, you paid a law firm to find yourself innocent.
I saw those memes, yeah.
That is the big meme. How would you respond to the allegation that the investigation was biased from the start?
Yeah. So, first off, to just set the foundation, I think a lot of people are saying, oh, of course, Jimmy did an internal investigation, found himself, they didn't find any wrongdoing, which is also not true, which I assume we'll go into that more later. They did find some wrongdoing, just not in regards to like the serious Ava allegation. So that's a, false truth. And then on top of that, it wasn't an internal investigation. It was an external investigation, which was clearly laid out in the things we showed.
Yeah, a third-party investigation.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, it is a little bit of a, like, a lot of people I saw were saying like, well, you paid them. And it's like, well, yeah, top tier lawyers and federal prosecutors don't work for free, so I have to pay them.
Yeah, like people were expecting MrBeast to have like the FBI investigate him, which is absolutely insane. You can't like, in order for the police or like any government body to investigate you, they have to have proof. They have to have reasonable doubt of you trying to do something, right? Like, imagine MrBeast just calling off the FBI, like, hey guys, like people online are saying I did bad stuff. Can you like investigate me? Like, you're wasting the FBI's time at that point. Evil Beast, exactly, Reese. MrBeast is very evil, very, very evil indeed. Shame on him.
Yeah. So I don't really know how to debunk that one. I mean, it just is what it is. But yeah, we hired Quinn Emanuel, which is one of the top law firms in the world. Like, I mean, it was very expensive, but I intentionally picked them because they have a reputation and they're not just going to destroy their entire business to be biased towards me,
Right. And like, we have to remember a law firms are not familiar with how fucking YouTubers work, right? Law firms are not familiar with how YouTubers work at all. Like, this is probably like the first time that law firm has ever investigated a YouTuber before. And so, like, I don't know, like, people always have conspiracy theories that, like, obviously, like, politicians or, like, high-ranking celebrities, like, pay people off in order to get away with stuff. I don't, call me crazy, I don't think a law firm's gonna, like, hedge all their reputation on MrBeast, right? Who's probably gonna, like, this is probably his first and last time working with them, right? I don't think call me crazy, don't think that they're gonna waste their entire career on MrBeast.
You know what I mean? And then it was led by a former federal prosecutor who did the whole thing. I mean, it was pretty intense. I mean, they did tons of interviews. I mean, transparent. They even like scanned my phone, dug through. Like, they have messages I sent to my girlfriend, and I'm like, why is this even relevant? And they're like, I mean, if you want a thorough one and you want us to like be confident in what we're saying, we need to see everything. Like, they went pretty hardcore on it, which is why it ended up taking a couple of months. Because truthfully, when I started this process, I didn't realize like how intense it was. But I gave them the reins to everything, and yeah, it took longer than I thought. But I don't know. I mean, is there any like how else do I prove it besides? I mean, I think another thing that missing context people don't have is like, if they found anything illegal, they're obligated to report it to the police. Like,
right.
this like, that's how these things work when they do these investigations. It's not like they could be like, hey Jimmy, we found this illegal thing, we'll just sweep it under the rug.
But it's all right because you paid us.
Yeah, like so it's just in every way. I just don't think people understand. Like, it's it was obviously Coin Manual. That's why we paid them, and it was pretty thorough. And
yeah. So I mean, those are two things that make sense, right? We just covered two back-to-back things that make sense. A, you waited a long time for the investigation, and B, you paid like a very reputable law firm, whatever, to investigate. Both of those things make sense logically from your perspective, but also optically from the outside looking in. For people who are just seeing the allegations, they're like, "Oh, this guy looks guilty."
Yeah.
You know, he's building this big sort of law team, and he's not responding, and he's like it. So it's kind of bizarre and unfortunate because like it does make sense. Like from a logical perspective.
I mean, because there's two things I could do. I could do an internal investigation.
Yeah,
but that's
great
dumb
idea.
because I don't want to audit myself.
Let your mom do it.
Yeah, exactly. I'll have my mom do it, or I could do an external one. That's what we did. And again, it's like because I didn't have control over it. Obviously, if I did, I would have been like, bro, do this in 2 weeks so I can get this out there. Like I didn't want it to.
And then if it took 2 weeks, people would be suspicious of that too. So ultimately, like even though it's technically like a lose-lose situation for him, it is best for him to just get it done the way he did, because you know from his word, it was a thorough investigation. They found him innocent of like at least the Ava stuff. They did find some other stuff there, which they get into later. They actually have an anonymous like worker tip line now for MrBeast employees to share their grievances with the company. This story is so difficult because like people like obviously there are biases throughout every story, right? But clearly I feel like one side's acknowledging the biasy and like the other side isn't. Like the anti-MrBeast crowd will scream from the rooftop that it's impartial, that it's they're just doing it for the truth. But then when you look at the people who are in like the spearheads for the investigation, you have a woman who was in who got third place, but then in the video they show her getting fifth place, right? Either way, she wasn't winning the prize money, but she's mad about that like 2 place difference, right? Then you have 2 ex-employees, one who's been paid off, not just with the prize money that he won with his failed challenge, but also an additional $50,000. And then you have the main guy, who is another employee, who decided to within the almost 3 weeks that he worked at MrBeast, that instead of getting actual work done, he would try to get an Apple Vision Pro. And then when they tried firing him, he begged for his job. And now he's trying to smear the person specifically who fired him. Like, there are biases all around, but like, come on. I think it's pretty clear who has a massive axe to grind, you know?
To take months, but I mean that's part of an external investigation. You don't have control over it.
Now, would you consider? So you obviously regret the remaining silent. Would you consider that the third party investigation as a whole, in looking back, would that have been? Would you say that's a mistake?
No, I just think I would push back on like, do I really have to be silent?
Okay.
Like, can I just like do this thing? Like go clap back on some of these things, but like some of these things people were apparently talking to ex-employees or whatever, and so it just gets muddy because I really didn't want the integrity of the investigation to like be in question or anything. So I was like super paranoid where I was like, okay, this is what they said, I don't want to push back or anything. But yeah, obviously in hindsight, like I mean a lot of these things that were just blatantly lies, like if I just clap back instantly, people were just like, okay, cool, and moved on.
Would you consider making some details of the investigation that have yet to be seen public? Obviously there's like a level of confidentiality that is required legally.
Exactly, yeah.
But like, is there anything?
Well, that's the thing. Like, what we put out as much as we could, but I mean, obviously they did dozens of interviews, including alleged people who were victims, and I mean, like I said, my message to my girlfriend, like they gathered a lot. So I don't really think I can. I mean, there's a lot of sensitive data and information in there. You know?
What about like a just to back up your claims to their
oh, but things on like how like they did it independently and they weren't biased. Like that side. I mean, I don't really know what people would want to see, but yeah, I mean, we can figure it out.
Just from what I know about like retainer contracts with lawyers and working with, you know, third-party investigations, things like, which I don't have any experience with anything that big, obviously.
Yeah.
But maintaining a level of compliance, like, I mean, if there's like a retainer contract, something showing that, you know, you shouldn't.
Now, this is where I'm ignorant. Like, I don't even know really what a retainer contract is, but
I mean, like
if there's any way I could, of course.
Like your third party saying, Jimmy, don't talk, like just basically giving credence to what you're saying, even more so, more evidence of what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, that would be something I'd have to like go talk to the team on. But, I mean,
that would help.
If that's something where people desperately want transparency, I mean, we can figure something out.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, that would just help me. I'm not sure if people. Honestly, I don't know if people would give a fuck.
Yeah,
but,
I don't know either.
I would
because if people are like, we think Quinn Emanuel's biased, like even no matter what I show them, if they think a top tier law firm would willingly potentially tank their rep for me, like I don't know if there's anything that's ever to convince them.
Right? Yeah, it is foolish, and it makes sense. But once again, it's like optically, there is a very easy lowest common denominator way to look at stuff.
Yeah. But also, what I would say to those people is I'm here, so it's not like I'm like maybe that argument would work if I just never did anything, but I'm here, so.
In the lion's den.
You know, bro, I should have been like, hey, yo, MrBeast, DM me. I want to learn the truth. You think he would have done it? Nah, probably not. It would have been funny, right? Dude, this could have been me doing the interview and not Oompaville. Think about it, chat. It could have been me.
Yes. Controlled opposition towards me. Hey, also, I'd love to say, I don't know if he's posting this chronologically or whatnot, but I mean, he also did interview Dogpack multiple times. So it's because I could have done this with anyone, but I think this one makes sense because you've literally had the other side on here. So
and also to be clear as well, I have not signed like an NDA or
fuck.
I mean, there's genuinely nothing that's been signed. You haven't given me $1 million.
No. Hey, you should say I haven't given you a penny.
A penny. Okay,
yeah. You gave me $999.
No.
And like having Oompaville not sign anything, I think it's a good sign of what's the word? Good faith. Because obviously, no matter what, people are gonna say, "Well, clearly, MrBeast paid him off in order to do this." I like Oompaville. I don't think he would have been. I don't think he's the type of guy to get paid off. You know, unless it's a sponsorship, of course. But despite my criticisms of his Dogpack interviews, I think he's a good YouTuber. And again, we have to keep in context of mind. This is literally like a last minute interview that he has. I can't imagine the pressure that's on him right now as he's doing this.
Nothing. You've given me nothing, bro. Yeah. It's actually it's kind of interesting. It really is interesting. This is a bold move, I would consider. It's quite a bold move.
And it's even more bold because I'm never vulnerable on camera and like.
Yeah, it's from a lot of perspectives. It is quite bold, and it's not like I haven't been critical. I feel like I've been fairly critical. I feel, and it's like talking to you, I feel bad. Obviously, because I'm a person. There's different levels to how much you care about shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it is. If there were a testament, it would be that would be a testament to this being being a meaningful source of information. This video, I feel like. I hope.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is definitely outside my comfort zone, but I think it's important.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so that's kind of past like the main initial allegations. We can move on to sort of corporate culture and HR practices. That's been a big sort of point that a lot of critics have hammered home.
Yep.
And
we're just getting right into the hard hitting stuff.
Hell yeah. So there have been a lot of questions about your workplace culture, such as a lack of diversity or also HR problems.
Yeah.
Who's brought up the lack of who's been bringing up the lack of diversity? That was, I feel like that was definitely like a weird question. Like obviously like an HR question in general, I feel is a good idea because again, like his mom was like the initial like HR department, but like lack of diversity, that's such a weird question to ask, I feel.
if anything, have you done to address these concerns? How have you handled it since information came out, and how do you plan on handling it in the future?
Okay, so we'll start with the diversity one. If I forget the HR one, just bring it up when I finish that one. Diversity, I have seen a lot of people mention that about our company, which, I mean, that one's just not even true. Like, I mean, Feastables, for example, a couple months old, but like almost 70% of our company is women. And we actually, because we do dub studios around the world, now zooming out of Feastables over to content, I mean, we actually have pretty crazy amount of diversity in our company. So because we have 400 people that work for me. It's not just me and the boys on the camera, which is the 5 you see. So that one, the few people have claimed that like they don't have any data to back it up. So I guess I probably should have brought some data here. I don't want to just say percentages off the top of my head.
If you have, I'm sure you've got some kind of
but I really, that one I just don't think is rooted in anything. And then what was the second part?
HR, how have you handled HR problems? What HR problems have popped up?
So that one, I mean, it's a little bit of a general question, but yeah, I mean, obviously in general, a lot of people, I've seen a lot of things about, HR stuff in my company. And I think one thing people don't have is just the context. Like, I think they think my channel is just like 5 people or 10 people or 20, whatever. Like, they don't realize the size of it. Like, specifically because our videos have gotten so big, I mean, I'm going to give a little range because depending on how many people we've hired in the last month, it's somewhere between like 250 or 300 people.
Yeah, because like we have to, especially for like the challenge videos where it's like this person is like doing X for 30 days, Like a lot of those videos are filmed, look, sometimes like multiple at once, right? So you have like multiple cameramen, you have multiple like on-screen talent for that. You have to have like multiple editors for that stuff too, and like set designers for, especially when it's like in-house production, special effects guys. Like it's a sizable production company now compared to how it used to be.
Work at my production company, so this is a big company. There's a lot of people, and then on top of that, when we do like bigger videos where we need to build big sets or whatever, sometimes we bring in hundreds of contractors. So there's a lot of people that work here, and like I just want to blanketly say, like, companies at this size, like, you can't ever guarantee that every interaction everyone's gonna have is always gonna be positive with each other. You know what I mean? That's just impossible. So I want to start off by just saying that, because I don't want people to watch this and then like a year from now, like, hear some rumor and be like, oh, Jimmy didn't learn. Like, any company of this size, there's always going to be some problem someone has. Now, having said that, I'm not trying to use it as like a blanket of like, and shield myself. There are 2 things that are like someone in my position who runs a company like this is in control of. One is, making sure we're not fostering anything inappropriate and, allowing it. And then 2, when it inevitably happens, because it just will in a company my size. And I'm trying to be transparent here. Like, it's, how do you respond to it? And then in the making sure you're not fostering it, part of Quinn Emanuel, when we had them do their investigation, is I had them look at every system in my company. I had them talk to my employees.
And then like another thing too is like, I imagine like the transition was kind of weird because like initially this is like a dumb kid like in his bedroom, like doing like Call of Duty videos, right? And then you go from that to doing like smaller productions with like 4 or 5 people on camera, and then also like you go from that to having and keep in mind the 5 people that you have on your channel are like like close friends, right? And then you go from that to like having like a big work team with hundreds of people who you probably don't know all their names, So I imagine, because like it definitely, I would guess, had like some sort of like fraternity, like frat bro type of energy to it when it first started out, but like as it went on, it became more professional. I imagine that was a very awkward period. And it seems like especially with Ava being there, Ava was kind of like the old remnants of like that being like a sort of like frat bro mentality type of area. Especially because like the way allegedly that like Chris would like hold over certain positions for people when they came out, because like there was that whole allegation against someone that they were sleeping with at the time. Apparently, they had allegedly said, hey, if like, you know, I could get you position at MrBeast, you know, like obviously that sort of language. I that hasn't been confirmed if that had actually happened. Me personally, I don't like, I haven't seen enough to personally believe it. However, when you have those types of rumors going around, obviously like it's very bad for business.
Employees, and if you know, see if there's anything they could bring to Quinn Emanuel's attention that they could make me aware of. And like I think it was in the report, is like we established an anonymous hotline because Quinn Emanuel was showing me data that like sometimes people don't feel comfortable talking to HR or their boss, and like if you have an anonymous hotline that goes to someone outside the company that can hear a complaint and then beam it into you without disclosing who it was, like you'll get more honest feedback, you know, because there's like, so they show us a lot of things like that. Also making sure we're not fostering it. Like
also too, we have to remember the whole like he gave it he knew that his employees were being given unprescribed Adderall. Like that's like I imagine that's probably one of the things that the third party investigation found was very inappropriate, you know? Because like you can't like I get it, like college kids do it all the time, but you can't knowingly have your workers like you abuse unprescribed Adderall, because of the health effects that might give you are pretty severe, you know, and you could be held liable if something happens to them while they're at work.
I think it's also in there as well. We leveled up like our C-suite, because I've had a lot of people that have grown with me, but like me, they've never ran a company that has hundreds of employees before. So I actually just hired a couple people who have worked on Fortune 500 companies who have actually ran companies of this size before. And so, you know, they're showing me lots of things that bigger companies do that obviously I'm just ignorant on because I'm a YouTuber. You know what I mean? I spent my life staring at retention charts and CTR, not how to structure a business. So just that's phase one, is making sure you're not fostering, you know, a culture that supports that stuff. And then inevitably, like I said, you can't ever guarantee when you're working with hundreds of people full time, and then when you add part-time people, potentially over 1,000 sometimes, you just got to make sure if there are issues that, you know, actual real issues, like if someone complains because someone peed on a toilet seat, like right. I'm not, oh well. But if there's an actual serious issue, then, you know, we'll bring in professionals who experience and, you know, getting down to it, interview them, gather the information. I'll recuse myself. I don't want to be the arbiter of truth. And then, you know, those experts who are experienced in handling those things, they'll tell me how to handle it. If they tell me to fire someone, I fire them. If they tell me to whatever, I'll do it. You know what I mean? I don't want to be the one who makes those decisions. So, and transparency, that's kind of, you know.
So I think this is one where a lot of YouTubers, people who have covered this type of thing, don't really understand that HR is a real living and breathing organism in business, and if you don't maintain it, it can become a problem for a normal business. But when your business is someone like you whose reputation is on the line, I also have a bunch of businesses. I've got 60 employees, and we have an HR department. And like something happens once a month where someone gets an anonymous report, and then we have to solve that problem, and then we actually
you're evil.
Yeah, and that's you know, that's how it feels sometimes. Yeah. But I'm not involved obviously in that stuff, and my YouTube side is very compartmentalized. So the way that I do that, it makes sense to me. I want to be as detached as much as possible from the day-to-day operations of like the actual business. You're saying you're running the company. Is there a world in which what is your job title? Is there a world in which you step back and you are just like not an actor necessarily, but you're the guy, you're MrBeast, and you let the business be operated by an entity to where you can stand beside it essentially, instead of being at the head of it?
No, I mean, at the end of the day, it's my channel, it's my company, so I wouldn't take it that far. I think like the big thing is just bringing in people who have actually ran a company at this size before, because eventually I will be more educated and knowledgeable. Like every day I'm learning more on like how to properly run a company with hundreds of people and better do it, but I'm still very ignorant. Like I probably crossed 100 employees like 3 years ago or 2.5 years ago, but it's still just growing. So like, because across everything, you know, if you include Feastables and View Stats, we have over 400 employees. So it's a learning thing. But that's the thing. While I'm learning, I need to bring in people who have been there and learn from them.
Yeah, because I mean, there's no replacement for just experience, right?
Exactly.
Like, you can be as smart as anybody, but if you haven't been able to go through the things you've gone through and like things just personally that I know that I've gone through and learned from business, it's not possible to know. It's not possible to know how to react to those things, or that's why I sort of try to do my best to compartmentalize my business. Obviously, different beast than what you're operating, but it just it's just it's difficult, and it does make sense. And you've used the word ignorant a couple times. I'd be interested to see how changes are made after this, which you've already made a lot of changes. Obviously, the anonymous reporting is the biggest one for HR.
Yeah.
That's like been a repeat.
And it's like, that's one of those things where, like, it's not like I was like, oh, we don't need, I just didn't know. Like, I never seen the data they showed me. And like, if any other people have this kind of stuff, like, I'm always open to learning.
Of course, yeah. And I think the most important thing too is, like, at the end of the day,
did Oompa's microphone stop working for a second? Because I don't know, he has a shotgun mic on him, but I don't know, it doesn't seem to be working right now. Oh, dude, it's the totally real dog pack account. Totally real dog pack account. Yeah. MrBeast response is terrible. Who knows? Who knows, dog pack? The totally real and not fake dog pack whatsoever. Yeah, who knows? It might be terrible.
you've got the most to gain from all this.
Exactly. I want my employees happy. I gain nothing out of them not being happy. Like, it hurts me. It's like I have a monetarily incentivization to do this kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah, and that's why I feel like the criticism of entities like yours and even mine, with truth, obviously, and like logic, and there's a real basis of rationale that makes sense, that's centered in reality.
Yeah.
I feel like that's super important because, once again, you have so much to gain, and like you spend less, you make a little bit less money, but your employees are substantially happier, and they feel safer, or just more confident in you as their leader or their boss. So it's like, it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how all this kind of goes from here after this point, especially.
Yeah,
because this is a big moment.
I know, the interview, the day of the interview.
But that makes sense, though. I mean, and like I don't want to continuously interject my own business experience, but I think it does set me apart from other YouTubers who are involved in this, in that I do have business experience. From it, sort of the same thing. I just fell into running actual businesses and having to do payroll and HR, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Exactly.
I had no idea any of this stuff existed, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get fucked. Your mom was previously head of your HR department. And some people have criticized that as a conflict of interest. Did you personally, at the time, even consider that? Mm-hmm. And do you now also acknowledge that is a conflict of interest?
Oh, I agree. That's a dumb thing to do.
Yeah.
I do think context matters, though, because like this is where a lot of these things that I assume we're going to talk about is like people conflate current MrBeast with 400 employees and spending hundreds of millions of dollars a year with MrBeast when he's a teenager and starting. I mean, when I first started hiring people, it was like, oh, we went to high school together. You want to help me make videos? And I hired a couple of my friends from high school. And then I was like, how do I do taxes and this kind of stuff? And I was like, Mom, help. And I mean, I wouldn't say she was head of HR. I mean, she was, I guess, but she's also running finance, and it's not like a real company. We just get in this like little $700 actually that one was $1,080 a month office I was renting, and I'd just be like to this one guy that I knew from high school, all right, today you're gonna go paint this thing, today you, friend number 2, you're gonna like help me edit this, and you, friend number 3, you're gonna go to the store and buy 1,000 chickens that like scream when you press down on them, and Mom, I don't know, just make sure the IRS doesn't sue me. Like that's the time frame we're talking about here. But yes, I agree. Like, it's stupid. Like, you definitely shouldn't have your mom as an HR person. You should just hire someone who was educated in HR, which is obviously what we have. We have an HR team now. Yeah. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think, and that's sort of like one of the weird things from just a business perspective. Once again, it's like someone becomes HR by default. Yeah. Even if you don't say, well, this is the HR person, this is our contact.
I mean, because like back then, it's like, I mean, if you had a problem, just tell me. There's like 5 of us. So,
that's true. Yeah,
but yes, but still, I'm like, in this, I'm not trying to like deflect everything. Like, I mean, yes, obviously you should hire an actual HR person. Agreed.
That's good advice.
Yes.
That sounded nice. I do agree with that.
Shocker.
Totally. Yeah, crazy. The no doesn't mean no policy
gosh,
that was
yeah.
criticized. That was crazy.
Bro, this point was so fucking mischaracterized. The no doesn't mean no thing. Absolutely. It's absolutely insane. People walked away thinking what they did about that policy. Yeah. Ultimate rape review. Oh my god. Cool. I have music playing for my TV playing. Okay. The Rogue Prince of Persia is amazing. Oh, you guys are having having your own conversation over here. I see. Gotcha. Oh no, that's not Pidgey. That's someone completely different, guys. By the way, if you guys want to call in, you are more than welcome to. Just join the Discord and then bam.
Crazy.
Drag you
I mean,
in.
when I first saw that, I was like, "What the fuck?"
Oh, you're answering for me. Let me answer.
Hold on. It was criticized, especially by Soggy recently, of having been taken out of context. Can you explain what the no doesn't mean no policy
Yes.
was and why it was in the?
Yes. So, yeah. So, it's funny. Even the word like policy. It's like so when we started hiring more people, I wrote this little I almost like advice book just for a lot of employees because I wasn't able to talk with people as much as I was early on. And one part of it that people, when this thing got leaked, and I wrote it with some other people in my company. It wasn't just me, but when this got leaked, there's a section that said no does not mean no, and then they just like cropped that out, and they're like, look, this is proof Jimmy's immoral and evil. When obviously, like you were saying, if you read the context below, it makes sense. The gist of why we had a section that said no does not mean no is because we do, I don't know if anyone's ever seen our videos, crazy things that have never been done before, right? No one's ever, on YouTube at least, buried themselves alive for 7 days. No one like tries to dangle an obstacle course from cranes. And it's like, the problem I kept running into early on when I was hiring people is I'd be like, hey, I want to do this. And then they would go call someone. So like, let's say the obstacle course in the sky where we had like this obstacle courses that Mac did, held up by these cranes, weighed like 100,000 pounds or whatever. Like they would call crane companies and they'd be like, no. And then they'd be like, okay, hang up. And they'd come to me and they'd go, Jimmy, they said, no, we can't do it. The video's not possible. And it's like, okay, well, of course they're going to say no because everything we do has never been done before. But like, ask them why. And like, obviously, if they don't be rude, but if they say no, just try to understand why, right? And a lot of times you'll have an instance where like, well, we can't get all the cranes at one time because we're renting them out. And it's like, okay.
And like if you look at a lot of other like businesses, like especially like any like sales type of business, they tell you don't take no at face value, right? But but the thing is, like it definitely could have been worded better, but like the context of the no doesn't mean no thing. It very clearly states that it's like it's a business thing, not like a grab whoever you want in the office type thing, you know?
Okay, perfect. That we respect that. But can I offer something before you actually hard say no? What if we went to the 2 or 3 other clients that day that were renting the cranes? We paid them 5 times the amount of money they paid to rent those cranes to just, rent them a week later. And let's just see. And then the company would usually be like, oh, you would do that? It's like, yeah, like we want to work with you to find a solution to make your problem our problem and solve it. And then then a hard no will 50% of the time turn into, oh, well, yeah, actually we can do it if you're willing to spend a little extra money or whatever. So that was me trying to educate my employees on that. And somehow, well, I don't know, I'm not even gonna say somehow, I know how. I mean, people who didn't care about the truth and just, wanted to spread disinformation and manipulate and lie to millions of people, which it worked, spun that into, I'm not even going to state the obvious, but which made no sense because the context for it was literally written right below it. But that just shows the ill will intent of certain people.
Yeah, because no doesn't mean no. That is like there's just a massive, heavy negative connotation with that, obviously, in the zeitgeist. So, that makes perfect sense in a vacuum, or with this context, it does make perfect sense. But you got to see. If I were to be like, yeah, this guy, MrBeast, he's getting canceled for all kinds of crazy shit. And he has a no doesn't mean no policy. Anyways, that's crazy.
I know.
That's fucking
And you should
insane.
throw it on screen so your viewers can
so
see.
they can actually see the
see
full-
it.
Yeah. And as it says here, when dealing with people outside of MrBeast Productions, never take no at at a face value. We need a store to buy everything inside of, and you call the local dollar store, and the person that answers says, no, you can't film here. That literally doesn't mean shit. Talk to other employees and see if any are fans or if any have kids that are fans. Try talking to their boss's boss. Have me DM them on Twitter and try their social team, etc. If all of the revenues are exhausted and you are left with a no, that doesn't mean don't try the other Dollar Trees, because the managers of those could be huge fans and willing to bend the rules. Basically, what I'm trying to convey is what we call pushing through. No. Don't just stop because one person told you no. Stop when all when all conceivable options are exhausted. This is one of many tools that, when combined, dramatically improve your probability of success when producing here.
You can see the context because it clearly lays it out. So no one actually saw that and thought what these channels were implying.
Yeah.
They just willfully were ignorant so they could get 1 out of 10s and make some money. I mean, that's the truth. Like, I'm sorry, but
Now on to sort of content production and the question of authenticity behind the content that you make. There have been claims that you use some CGI in your videos, that is computer-generated imagery. Do you think the use of CGI can undermine the credibility or authenticity of the content that you're making? And if so, why do you choose to use it?
good question. And yes, I do think rampant use of CGI can undermine it. And I try to do my best to be transparent. Did you ever see So Crispy's video where they showed the behind the scenes of our Squid Game video?
I did, yes.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm being honest, though, I don't really care about this point. Like, I don't care if he uses CGI in his videos. What I care about is, like, you know, the Delaware stuff, the the MrBeast game stuff, you know, that type of thing. It's I get it. Like he kind of has to, like, especially if Oompaville wants this to be like the end all be all interview. He kind of has to like ask a lot of the inconvenient, like not inconvenient, a lot of like the smaller stuff. But like I hope this doesn't get focused on too much, because again, I don't care about the CGI.
Yeah, so we've done that. We've done lots of BTS videos on them, and we've done other BTS videos. So I try to show it transparently, but let me think about it. I mean, honestly, the truth is, like, obviously there are channels like Corridor Digital and stuff like that, but can you really think of any, like, entertainment channels like mine that really do this, like even have the budgets to kind of do this kind of stuff? It's something I've always thought a lot about, because like we're really pushing boundaries, and like I want to like keep leveling things up, and I think that's a cool way to do it. But it's not like there's some like playbook on how to like incorporate it, right? Because no one else really does it. Mm-hmm. Like something I was thinking about is like also we rarely use it. Like, I mean, maybe like 0.1% of my shots. Like if we have like a background that like doesn't look too cool, like it's just like black but it looks a little off, we'll just like darken it out in post. Like that's like majority of what we do, or sometimes we'll extend a set. But I was thinking, like, when we do, because we pour millions of dollars into these videos, we build massive sets, like we go through so much links to make these huge videos, and the last thing I want is people to be like questioning whether or not things are CGI. I mean, like, the sets we build are fucking crazy, man. Like, it's wild. Like, you should come see the like behind the scenes of it. I mean, sometimes we spend 100 days just literally building one room for one shot of one video.
That's insane.
So yeah, I was thinking like maybe just potentially, I don't know, this is the first time I'm saying it publicly, like time stamping in the description when we do.
That's interesting.
Yeah, or like having some like gimmicky thing where like whenever we do, we like put like a little Beast logo on it, so it's like a thing that if people wanted to identify, they could. I mean, I'm down to figure something out. I mean, we just don't really use it that much. It's just like a thing few and far between. But what I really don't want is people to not be able to trust my videos just because occasionally I want to make a wall blacker, or like I want to extend a set a little bit just to make it look cooler and like you feel in tune with it. Because what we do on its own is insane. You know what I mean? Like, we don't need it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and to be fair, too, you know, I totally get what you're saying, and like the logic for the CGI call doesn't really make a lot of sense to me personally. You know, to me, maybe it would undermine the credibility if you're like changing things genuinely, or like you know, you have an outcome that's the thumbnail and you're only getting it by manipulating. But like, there are times in my videos where my head is bigger than my head in real life because my editors make it bigger. That's CGI, right?
Yeah.
The words, the subtitles in your video, they're not real. That's CGI technically.
True. Yeah.
So it's like there's just it's just that one's like a really sort of slippery slope. But I think that's a good idea. If you were to put timestamps, or you know, if you sort of are transparent about AI generative content, that's something that really necessary.
It's just like you said, like I in my head, I didn't even think of text on the bottom as CGI, and like everyone might have a little different definition of it. So there's some
I don't care about
1%
this
cool.
point, I'm sorry.
Definitely, yeah. I think people would appreciate the transparency on that as well. Like, because it's, I mean, reality television, it's all extremely manipulative, and I think that's like the basis of it. So if you were to sort of go above and beyond even the worst, you know, whatever competitors that you don't even really have on YouTube, and put like a Beast logo or timestamps, I personally think that would be kind of cool.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think that'd be sort of epic. There was an allegation that you used CGI to create the impression that you guys built a hospital, part of a hospital, in order to deceive viewers or, you know, manipulate them into believing that you did more than you actually did.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, no, that's a great one. Honestly, truthful, dumb mistake. At the start of one of our Beast Philanthropy videos, they were trying to show what this like building looked like in the past. And in the past, that hospital wasn't there. So they removed it in the editing, which, and this was just like a small part of this isn't even like the point of the video was that we built this hospital or whatever. There was just a shot at the beginning. But some people saw that and like thought we did build it, which is not the intention. And so it's just a dumb mistake. Like, trust me, when I saw that, I talked to the editors. I was like, come on, like, you know, I have 100 editors, and obviously we have a bunch of different channels and things like that. So it's hard for me to like speak with all of them, but it was just truthfully a silly mistake. But we never said we built that hospital or anything, but I could see how some people miuld perceive that we were trying to like give off that we were. And it's a little unfortunate because Beast Philanthropy, my YouTube channel, how do I say this where it's like I'm not trying to, like, is literally owned by a 501c3. Like, it's a YouTube channel that is a nonprofit, which is crazy. Like, as far as I know, that's the only one. And Beast Philanthropy does so much good. And like that, you know, what's the only reason people, this is what's funny, because like to the people like trying to call me evil and say we fake philanthropy, the only reason anyone even knows any of this is because we actually did a behind the scenes video on that video. So like, clearly I wasn't aware of this because we did BTS and we were the ones who revealed this information. You know what I mean? So like, if we were trying to hide things, like, we wouldn't have done BTS on that video. That's how people got this information. So it's just like a little mistake, but it's sad because now people are using that to point at our Beast Philanthropy channel, which does a lot. I mean, it will just scroll through the videos. I mean, whether we're building schools in Africa or, I mean, and giving electricity to remote villages, or we're giving clothes to people who don't have it. Or
Yeah, this brings me back to like what people were saying about his letting 100, like, what was it, 1,000 blind people see for the first time. It's like, especially like when it comes to like the Hassan socialist types on like Twitch or Twitter, they always talk about how they're like rich people need to that rich people need to bring that they need to make sure that their money is used for good stuff. MrBeast actively uses his money for good stuff involving his charity channel, right? Like seriously, like, come on. But then they say he's not doing enough. But like, it's like when it gets to that point, it's like, well, what are you doing? What are you doing for the poor kids in Africa? Oh, what's that? You're making a tweet on Twitter? Oh my God, man, you're so You're so awesome for doing that, right? It's like at least like when it comes to like the philanthropy stuff, even if it's filmed, right? Like he like at least he's doing something. The vast majority of the people who complain about that, all they do all day is sit in their room and then they donate to Hassan and they're like, "Oh my god, I donated to a good cause," you know.
We're feeding people. I mean, it does a lot of really good projects. Now, truthfully, that channel is struggling to get brand deals because of all the slander on it, because everyone, you know, has convinced advertisers that the videos are fake and that it doesn't actually do philanthropy. And it's like, it does. And just like one little editing mistake on one of dozens of.
From what I understand, they're supposed to be doing like a video where they help people walk. Like people with like walking disabilities, like it's supposed to be like a surgery for them where they can start like walking or at least having some mobility again. And apparently that video's been screwed up now. It's been on hold because of everything that's been going on. And listen, like it's hard, to be fair, slightly fair. It's hard to call out MrBeast for like stuff that he's like for stuff that he needs to legitimately be called out on, and not have it affect like the charity work he does. Because like people want this to be like a black and white story. It's really not, because you do have people who are able to be like who are benefiting from the philanthropy fund. I mean, like the one guy who won the $1 million and like lost it all. He now has like a universal income thanks to MrBeast. He's on the payroll and he doesn't have to do anything. That's just like given to him. And like that's awesome for him, right? This is a very like like I'm glad to be one of the smaller guys, especially for something like this where it's just like it's a very messy situation where it's like you get one detail wrong and it like could screw the entire thing up, right?
Videos, like, I mean, it's unfortunate because it's actually having a pretty severe impact on the charity and its image, and like, I don't know, just unfortunate.
You think the impact is not obviously just the CGI hospital edit, but just the entire situation in general?
No, I mean, of course, the entire general situation, but no, after that hospital thing, a lot of people made videos saying Beast philanthropy is fake and saying we fake our philanthropy, and it's specifically attacking it. And then, you know, like that whole 100% of the revenue on the charity on the channel is what we use to fund the charity, and that like spooked off a lot of people because they're like, oh, so this charity is not authentic, because like obviously people don't want to work with the charity that's not legit, which Beast Philanthropy is as legit as it gets. Just one little editing mistake, which I get now. I'm sounding like I'm downplaying. I mean, it was just a mistake in editing. Doesn't discredit all the projects Beast Philanthropy has done around the world and the tens of thousands of lives it's changed. And I mean, yeah, it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, I would say that's a fair admission too, because it's like, you know, and once again, optically, you're the guy who's talking about, you know, spending 26 hours a day looking at data, and, you know, every decision, every single frame that's in a video is like combed over, and then that is a mistake, obviously, that you're capable of making, your team is capable of making, and like the whole thing is capable of making, and people, you know, they'll compare and contrast whether they know or not. Like they think everything you're doing is 110% deliberate. Yeah,
well, that's the unfortunate part, because it's like, if someone, again, just to be clear, the only reason anyone even knows is because we did BTS. So, I mean, but if that would have happened, you know, 8 months ago, I would have just responded to a tweet saying my bad and just like re-edited it in YouTube Editor and just like added a voiceover, and it would have been fine. It's just now that, you know, due to the circumstances, everyone's like, we finally got the proof. The philanthropy's fake. He's fake. And like, let's tear down his charity. And yeah, I mean, but yeah, it's just a silly editing mistake. Like the VO we should just had VO over that clip just saying we didn't build this hospital. But it was also not even the whole point of the video. It's just like, if you watch it, it's just a clip at the start. It's literally not even what the video is about. Mm-hmm. So
you've mentioned the behind the scenes footage of that, specifically the hospital video in regard to your philanthropy channel. Would you be willing to or consider releasing like more detailed behind the scenes footage or a breakdown of that with the VO you're talking about? Or, you know, the editors who worked on it and sort of their thoughts and opinions or whatever, because they're the ones working on it, right? Like
on that video specifically?
Yeah, or just in general.
Yeah, well, that one in specifically, I mean, we're owning up to it. I mean, I don't want to put them on blast publicly. Like, it was a silly little mistake. Obviously, we talked about how we could prevent it in the future, but I'm sure, shocker, at some point we're gonna have some other editing mishap over. Yeah. So I mean, that's not something I can't guarantee will ever happen again, but like we're doing our best to make sure it doesn't. But in general, I would love to do more behind the scenes. Like, I think throughout all this, I think what is causing some of this is like confusion is because there is so much mystery around how we do our videos because people don't know how we do it. It's like it's almost easier to believe there is this like they're fake or they're rigged, and he didn't actually build a bunker and put it underground and have 2 people live in it for 100 days and record the entire time and do all this. It's almost getting to the point where it's easier to believe it's not real. And I think like just having more transparency and doing behind the scenes would help. I've been wanting to do that for a little bit. It's just, truthfully, I just got to build the team. I was, we're looking into getting some editors and like a person dedicated for doing it. Like, cause we have to like intentionally film those shots.
Right.
A lot of it is like, so we're like building out the team. It's just like, it just takes time. Like, I even need someone who will make the thumbnails for it. And, like I also don't want there to be editing mistakes in this. So I need someone who's doing QC. And that's like a really important thing. Cause I don't want them to post it and make a claim in the BTS that's not true and say, hey, we spent $500,000 on this bunker, and it was actually $480,000, right?
Yeah.
Which is these are the little kinds of things that because I have such a large company, people will do, and they think it's innocent, but it's like no, like but at the end of the day, it's my name on it, and so it's like in theory it seems simple, like oh, you're already filming, just throw a BTS, but there's a whole big process in it to make sure that's also true and authentic and good and actually edited well, and so. I mean, I don't know when I'll be able to build out the team and get it right, but I think that will help a lot. If people knew like the effort and work that went into the videos and like just how we do it, I think they would look at it differently and be like, oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, and I think to circle back a little bit, I don't think even showing the, in behind the scenes, like if that were to have existed specifically with like the philanthropy stuff or another time where you're adding CGI or whatever, if you had the intention of the people who are doing it, in that behind the scenes footage, it wouldn't be necessarily even putting them on blast or showing any mistake you would have from the very beginning, transparency. Yeah. So I think that would be, I'm
on the same page here. Hey, if anyone watching this wants to help work on my BTS channel, I'm actually serious. We're actively hiring and trying to figure it out. So I mean,
yo, Nerdy John for the MrBeast team. That'd be interesting. But no, like I get what he's saying here. Like, cause like that's a whole another set of videos that you need to make. It's man, it's these people, man. You see, like this sucks. Cause like in terms of like this part of like the interview, I don't really have much to add here. Cause shocker, guys, the guy who like does this as like a part-time hobby. I can't add much to like the business side, I can't really add much, we one day will be a 100 million sub channel, right? But like, we're not quite there yet, chat. We're not quite there. So I don't have a whole lot to add here. So I wish he had chaptered this. It would have been nice if this was chaptered. I'm hoping that I'm hoping that we get something I can add a lot on quick.
I really think that would help a bunch. Like just plus, I just want to show people how we do this stuff. Like it's pretty crazy the stuff we're doing now. I
mean, realistically, it sounds like some of these problems. If like there was just sort of you have the opportunity now to just be like super ethical and hire a couple more teams for transparency and do something that not only the 300 million subscriber YouTuber, but like you are leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else in terms of like transparency.
Yeah.
Which people really like that type of stuff. Even if they don't like search out for it, they just like to see someone who's honest and relatable.
I agree.
And like you guys are really good at this insane MrBeast thing, but like you said, even with sort of talking about the allegations in the beginning, you didn't want to make a video where you're just sitting. It just feels cringe and awkward. Yeah, no. Like but it makes sense, right? Like I get your perspective and the outsider's perspective. It's cool to see, how it's not cool to see how angry people can get But it is cool to see that there is a possible answer to those.
A legend did get some timestamps in the comments. Did he? Let me see. Oh, here, yeah, I missed it. Delaware, soggy cereal. Oh wait, they're actually just about to.
There's
get into-
evidence that you put your previous employees, friends, whatever, controlled opposition
Yes.
In your challenge videos, such as the 100 boys versus 100 girls video.
Yeah.
Did you put them
Thank you for
in that
pointing that out,
video
Reese.
or videos like that specifically to rig the outcome
Of the challenge.
of the challenge? And if so, do you think that's acceptable, Mr. Beast?
I know. That one was a big one. Videos talking about my 100 boys versus 100 girls video in the last couple months. That one, people really talked about that one. So yes, Soggy's video, he talked about this and uncovered it. I'm surprised more people didn't. Like my girlfriend after that video.
Bro, by the way, it was so insane that that dog pack just like he deliberately pointed out the hiring manager who was there when he got fired. He deliberately pointed her out, like showed her LinkedIn and everything. It's like, hey, go harass this woman. go harass her for me, guys. She fired me. She fired me, guys. Go harass her. Is basically what like that open invitation right there.
Video literally went on a podcast and described this, so it's not even like this was hidden information. This has been out there.
You were in the video 100 girls versus 100 boys for $500,000.
Yes. On the day, everybody had to go for COVID tests, and a lot of people came, got their COVID tests, and they tested positive. And the girls somehow ended up with way too little contestants. So I got a call randomly from the studio, and they're like, we need a female. I'm like, well, I am a female. I guess I could do this 100-hour challenge.
Were
Yeah.
you dating at the time?
Yes.
And did the others know you were dating Mr. Beast at the time?
They pretended that they didn't, but I think some of them caught on.
Did he like move to the side of the circle and just check
No,
up on
he
you?
avoided eye contact at all costs.
But I mean, literally, like she said on the podcast, we had 100 boys, 100 girls. They're competing in a video. Leading up to the video, they're supposed to quarantine. This was years ago when, at the height of COVID. A lot of questions people have about my videos, like that in these recent things I've noticed, usually the answer is like COVID, like why things aren't as like we would normally do it. But in this instance, they quarantined. When they showed up to the studio, a couple people on both sides tested positive for COVID. We didn't have them all in a group. We, isolated, tested. And so now I'm stuck with a tough decision because we have all these people who just took off work for a week and took even more.
Yeah, and like, what's the alternative? They canceled the video entirely, or what they do instead is they get people to fill out for them. And as she said in the interview, the people who were supposed to participate still got paid to be there. It's just they had the MrBeast employees fill in for them. Like what realistically, what do people like Dogpack want in that situation? Do you want people with because like we have to remember this is like pretty early into the pandemic, so like you want like someone there spreading a fucking virus that like hardly anyone knows about. Dogpack in a lawsuit of the century. That trial, if streamed, would be insane numbers. Oh yeah. But no, yeah. This was like I honestly, shocker, guys. I would rather have MrBeast have employees fill in for people who can't do the challenge, and not have people who are sick like interact with healthy people and get them sick too. That's a health hazard right there. That is not good business practice. Let's get to the soggy cereal.
Yeah, he has criticized you today.
Again, why are these so blurry? Hi everyone. There are some things that have come to my attention I found concerning. The one I personally am fully disgusted by is MrBeast DMing my video to creators instead of taking accountability for the very serious allegations that he still needs to clear up. A thread.
And last night, I think, to sort of timestamp when this video is being recorded so people know, he said, Sauge's criticized you sharing his video with other YouTubers as a way to shield yourself from criticism, like DMing the video to people. He also expressed feeling used by you, given that you used his video as a strategy to gather favor from the public, which, that's pretty wordy. It's like it just happened today. It's got to be something like, how do you feel about him feeling that way? Because he's not really defending you. He's more so trying to hold light to truth, which I appreciate that massively. Yeah. And I do, talking to him, I do believe that he is an honest guy. How do you interpret his responses on Twitter if you've seen them? Have you seen them?
Yeah, I've seen them. I interpret as him just trying to be honest with his audience and just expressing how he feels. And I think, obviously he probably, in his head, if he was even being more honest, he'd probably be like, Jimmy, why don't you just say these things? Why am I saying it? And I think, obviously, now that I'm here and doing this, that will alleviate it. But I could see how it feels. Like, obviously, I saw that video and it, disproved. I mean, there are some things in there I don't agree with, and he does go pretty hard on me, so which people seem to forget. But there are a lot of things in there that he disproved, and yeah, I mean, I got excited and shot it over to a bunch of creators who covered the false information, and was just like, look, I could see how, that looks like I'm hiding behind it. Luckily, I'm here talking to you. So I don't think that will be a problem anymore. But obviously, he's not, when he tweeted that, he, doesn't know we were doing this, doesn't know this is coming out. I mean, he might now, I don't, you talk to him, but so like, I don't blame him. You know what I mean? It's a reasonable thing. Like, I think if I were to read a little between lines, he's just saying,
what did Dogpack expect? A super spreader event? I know, right?
And like, I don't want to be a shield. Jimmy, say something. You know what I mean? Like, actually go address things. And like,
because he's really not defending you. He's just disproving Dogpack. Like that.
Exactly.
That's the prime.
Because like, in order to like efficiently criticize MrBeast, you gotta get through all the fucking slop that Dogpack has been spreading. People need to realize that just because there's a good chunk of people criticizing Dogpack, that does not mean MrBeast is 100% innocent on everything he's been criticized for. Is that clearly, like, it's not even just that they're biased. It's clear that Dogpack and his little fucking group of cronies have malicious intent when it comes to doing the research on MrBeast. So of course they're willing to like spread a bunch of false stuff that they can't 100% prove, or that stuff that can get like stuff that they're clearly trying to like manipulate can easily be proven by just like simple Google searches, or like simply like watching full context of like whatever video clip they're using, right? Like the clip of the guy who was talking about how he won $1 million from MrBeast. In that same video, he talks about how MrBeast was helping him. But the way Dogpack clipped it, he made it seem like MrBeast was not helping him whatsoever. Like, there's clear manipulation there, man. Like, you're okay. Now this is one I wanna.
Are you going to sue Dogpack?
Well, there's tons of examples of him intentionally manipulating things to not be true and posting it online. Tons and tons and tons of that. Sauge has basically an hour and 27-minute video, and an hour of it is just flat out proving manipulation and lies, and caused a lot of harm to my businesses. I mean, I've literally had people pull out millions of dollars and then tell me it was directly because of his video. And don't worry, I instantly was like, can you send that in writing? So, if I win a case or anything, I can directly point damages. No reason why. And so, I mean, it's just unfortunate. Like, I don't want to be put in this situation, but probably going to have to. I mean, it's just, I mean, what do you do if someone's just spreading misinformation about you and, just causing harm to your business and like getting it to the point where you might have to potentially fire people because it's costing you so much revenue? It's like, it's not fair to the people in my companies. You know what I mean? It's just sad, It's not a thing I take joy in, but
right.
Yeah.
You know, well, considering we also have to remember too, technically he's already in a legal battle. And like we get it. Like MrBeast is one of the most he's like one of the richest YouTubers on the planet, right? Legal battles still cost a lot of money, especially the one that he's about to get into with like the Beast game stuff. Quite frankly, I don't think he has enough resources right now to sue Dogpack, at least at the moment. Now, if he is somehow able to settle the Beast game stuff out of court somehow, I can see him then going after a Dogpack. But let's be real here. I see a lot of people wanting Dogpack to get what they feel like he deserves. I don't think he's gonna receive any of that anytime soon. And with the audience that he's captured, I think he's going to I think he's going to continue. Maybe he'll move on from MrBeast. Maybe he'll try and maybe he'll go to another YouTuber. Maybe he'll be the one to fully expose PewDiePie. Who knows? Now let's get into the crypto because I want to see.
There's a comprehensive report published that painted a negative light on crypto dealings allegedly associated with you. To what extent were you involved in these crypto transactions, and how do you respond to CoffeeZilla's video on you detailing these allegations? I thought he gave you a benefit of the doubt in that video.
Yeah.
I think he's a very reasonable guy, to be honest. I think he's a very smart, reasonable guy who cares about like doing the right thing, which is pretty rare on YouTube. You know, how would you respond to Coffee's video?
Yeah, Coffee's video and the report. Well, so I'll start off with the report. I mean, most people probably haven't even read it, but that's what kind of spawned that whole thing was this. Did you see it? Like that? Yeah. So the gist of this crypto report that was, 1 second, sorry, it's not my. The gist of this report was Jimmy is too stupid to like make this kind of money, therefore it must be insider trading. This is his wallet. You know, clearly there was insider trading because he never would have been able to make this kind of money. When in reality, which is what I told Coffee in that statement we gave him, it was managed by a fund. So I wasn't the one managing the wallet. You know, I've never had access to that wallet. I've never done the buying and selling on that wallet. There's a actual professional who's written books on crypto and lived and breathes crypto every second of the day managing it. So most of the allegations there like are just answered by like, I am too stupid to do that. That's why a fund was managing it. You know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, like Coffee said, like if he literally said this in a video. If you like Jimmy, then you're like, yeah, he has answers for everything and just checks out. And if you don't like Jimmy, then you're going to go, you know, there's obviously wrongdoing here. But yeah, I mean, the honest truth is like, I make videos, I'm running 7 businesses. I got a lot going on. And yeah, I invested in a crypto fund. They invested on my behalf. And
you see, like, this is where it's like, how, like, this is ultimately up to you whether or not you want to believe he had no knowledge of like any of the crypto stuff. Now, me personally, I don't know. I'm leaning towards he knew a little bit about it. Of course, like with how unregulated crypto is right now, like. Is he technically breaking the law? No. I would say it's definitely fishy. One of the more fishy aspects of this whole thing. And again, go watch CoffeeZilla's video on it because you know he goes very well in depth on that. And you hear that, the sound of rent being paid for commentary YouTubers. True, commentary YouTube. We're getting paid. We're getting paid. Let's go. Like, well, this stuff right here kind of goes into like the charities. Feastables being used. Oh, here we go. This interests me right here. Feastables.
Noticed that on the Feastables website, it originally said that the chocolate was child labor and slave labor free. A lot of people probably don't know that the production of chocolate is, it's difficult for it to be ethical, especially at scale. And it no longer says that on the Feastables website, and people have interpreted this to mean that your chocolate is no longer ethically sourced, and it implies that it is using child labor or slave labor. Yep. How would you respond to that?
Yeah, that one was a crazy one when I woke up and saw those videos claiming I used slave labor. What's funny is any of those creators, I'm just gonna say it, you could have just literally messaged me and I could have given you the facts, but you know, they didn't. And so that was like a crazy few days. Like I actually, before I go into how we do ethically source our cocoa, and these are just flat out lies, I even, when that, there's so many arcs of like allegations, that allegation arc, I even put out an Instagram story about how we ethically source our cocoa, and we even did a press release, and like I've like literally shared these things, and people still were claiming we use slave labor and just ignored it and everything. But is it fine if I just give a little bit of a longer answer on this, so people truly, because I want to make sure people actually understand how ridiculous this claim is.
Yeah, I think it's also very important as well.
No, this is actually probably one of the most serious allegations of all of them. Like, saying we use slave labor is like, that's crazy.
And also, we preface this by saying that Feastables is one of the reasons that you are capable of making money on what you're doing.
Yes.
So, you know, the ethics of that are even more important, arguably, than...
Well, and it's also hypocritical with everything I do. If I, just turn around and use slave labor, then it's like, okay, it's just, so anyways, to get into it, yes, there's a lot of unethical stuff in the sourcing of cocoa, because people big chocolate just wants to buy cocoa as cheap as possible. Majority of the world's cocoa comes from, again, I'm going to really lay this out. I have lived and breathed this. I've visited the farms. I personally have put over 1,000 hours of my own time into this. And like, so majority of the world's cocoa comes from West Africa. Feastables early on, we sourced from Peru, which Peru doesn't have ethical problems. But after we started getting bigger, all roads lead to you have to source from West Africa, because that's just where most of the world's cocoa is grown. And that's where things are the worst and the most unethical. So when we were switching our supply chain to West Africa as we were getting bigger, the company that is the gold standard, that has been living and breathing this for the last 15 years, is Tony's Open Chain, or Tony's Chocolonely. Have you heard of them?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, phenomenal. They are nuts about this stuff. Like they've done all the research. They live and breathe it, like on how to eliminate child labor, how to best support the farmers, how to everything you can think of, which I'm about to go in depth on. And so I was like, hey, I need to talk to these guys. These guys know what they're doing. And so I spent a lot of time with them, and we actually formed a joint partnership with where we sourced through Tony's Open Chain with Feastables and Tony's Open Chain when we were moving over there. And this has been a thing well before the controversy. Before anyone says, oh, it's only because of controversy, it was a thing before the controversy. And basically, 100% of Feastables cocoa is fair trade certified, which is expensive. It's basically the most expensive certification you can have on it, which for most chocolate companies would be enough. You'd get your cocoa fair trade certified, and then like, do you even know what fair trade certified means? Mm-hmm. Okay, do you think your viewers know? No. So if someone was like, you're unethical, and I just said, my beans are fair trade certified, my chocolate, 99% of people would be like, okay, good enough, that makes sense. So like, I could have just hid behind that, but I didn't think fair trade, I don't think that's enough. And so not only are 100% of Feastables beans fair trade certified, but 100% of them, we also pay a living income reference price. Have I mentioned any of this to you before?
No.
Okay, so 100 living income reference price, which this is why it's hilarious how people are like claiming we unethically source our cocoa. And I'm ready to lay this out, because everyone who said I use slave labor and I don't care, I hope you delete your videos, because you were literally spreading severe disinformation. So for us, one of the main drivers of child labor in cocoa is poverty. Like, they don't make enough money. So you can't just go to a farmer and say, don't use child labor, because if they can't afford to pay a grown-up, then you're telling them, hey, go starve. They have to make money. So one of the ways you can eliminate child labor is you have to pay a living income. So there's a thing called living income reference price, where they look at, and tell me if I need to dumb it down or whatever, I don't know. But they look at inflation, the cost of bread, basically the cost of living in these areas in West Africa. And they say, hey, if a farmer sells you a metric ton of cocoa, they need to get paid blank to actually be able to live. If you're paying...
So they're kind of translated. Basically what he's saying here is that, like, he pays more for the cocoa because there's no child labor being involved with sourcing the cocoa, because he's paying that price so that way that farmer can pay an actual adult to work the fields and not like one of his children. Because a massive problem with chocolate, with the chocolate industry, is that the majority of the cocoa, as they said earlier, is sourced from child labor. And this is obviously a massive issue, because, well, obviously child exploitation. These are also some from very poor countries that have like no no labor laws, no welfare whatsoever, because like the government can hardly pay for itself. So it like making sure that he gets his chocolate from like an exploitation free area is a noble effort. Also too, like as Soggy's video did prove, they were able to make the Feastables chocolate bar like more healthy than like a regular like Hershey bar. That being said, I mean, it's still chocolate, you know, don't be eating it every day of the week, you know, because healthy or not, it's still chocolate. You're gonna get a big back from eating all of it, right? Wow, the Act Man commented on this video. Oh, let's see. Go back to let's go to the mold in Lunchley. Let's listen to
Friend
that.
of the show, Rosanna Pansino, happened to get a moldy Lunchley, and a couple other creators got moldy Lunchleys, and then that began the claims sprouted out of that that Lunchley had been recalled due to those problems, due to the mold problems.
Yes.
Moldy cheese. How do you plead?
Yes. How do I plead? Like, what am I on trial? Well, there was no recall. I mean, that's been said, which again, it's like, it's so annoying. It's the disinformation, man, because that makes it seem like there's an actual serious problem. Oh, we're recalling Lunchleys, and there's a sign that, you know, I think Logan even did a video, if you want to throw up, where he like went to the store and that just wasn't real. That like someone put on like a door that said Lunchley has been recalled when the shelves are empty by the FDA, which was just a made up thing. On the mold thing, here's the thing. We, every single Lunchley with cheese meat is USDA inspected. There is no mold when it leaves our factory. Yeah. Like, we have the highest QC standards imaginable. Like, what do we have? Why would we ship that out? Like, that doesn't even make sense. You know what I mean? And we obviously have the best experts in the world. I mean, even once these things came out, I mean, we brought even more. They're pouring up and down the lines, making sure everything's good. It's just, the thing is, here's a context a lot of people leave out. Look.
And like, you know, recently Meat Canyon did a video where like he compares Lunchley and Lunchables, and none of his Lunchleys had any sort of like mold on them or anything. Actually, he was making a joke throughout the entire video that there was a Persian cat in his Lunchleys, so he would keep finding the supposed parts of the cat in his Lunchleys throughout the video. Obviously, that was a stunt performed by him on his end. Now, with Rosanna, I've seen people theorize that she purposefully left out the Lunchleys so that way they could get mold on them. Now, obviously, that's just a theory. We don't have proof of any of that happening. But considering how vindictive and how much they were willing to stretch and outright lie about MrBeast, right? It's not out of the realm of possibility for me. Me personally, I think I could believe it. But again, we don't have any proof of that happening, so we can't definitively say that. And this whole situation, man, is absolutely insane. It's crazy to me how far this has gotten. The mold doesn't even look like mold. Moldy cheese doesn't look like what people have shown. I mean, I don't think a good chunk of people are faking it. Like, I'm sure there are some people. it's weird. It's usually with the pizza one that people have been finding the mold. I haven't really seen any of the mold with like the nacho one. It's just I'm chalking it up to maybe their like it's probably a mistake on like the store's end. Plus, this is like a brand new product. There's gonna be some mistakes made, right? Is there anything else I want to really comment on right here? We already went over charity. Charity. Oh, here we go. The Shadman poster. We got to hear about this. Oh wait, Jake Weddle War Crimes. Although I am interested.
We'll talk a little bit about Ava Tyson and specifically the Shadman stuff. I know we talked about the third-party investigation, which found no wrongdoing in like a legal sense from that perspective. A thing that a lot of people care about is Shadman's a fucking freak and is a disgusting person. Did you know about the painting in? Did you know about that? Have you ever interacted with Shadman before? Like, what is your relation to that, and specifically that relationship between Shadman and Ava Tyson and you?
Yeah, no, that's actually a good follow-up question. So this is what it was like. I don't remember 7, 8 years ago. Back then, I used to have like a bunch of anime posters up on the wall. I'm just like set a foundation for context. We used to have a bunch of anime posters and things like that on our wall in the house. And one day, Ava put up this poster that was like an animated character holding a fidget spinner and a gun. Admittedly, it was a weird image. I didn't know who made it. You know, I just kind of assumed it was a meme. I obviously did not know who Shadman was. I've never spoken with Shadman. I did not buy the poster or commission it or anything. And yeah, I mean, to be honest, I didn't really think too much of it because we just had like a lot of anime posters and things up, and it was an animated character that was clothed, obviously. And yeah, knowing what I know about Shadman now, it was a very weird thing to buy. I'm not really sure why she bought it, to be frank.
Well, Jimmy, if you know anything about Ava's search history online, she definitely loves that type of art.
And yeah, I mean, I wish I could give more details. I mean, this was so long ago. Obviously, I don't know the like exact thoughts going through my head, but I just remember, like, I agree, it is a little bit of a weird poster, but I also think like, you know, I had like Naruto posters up, or I had like Code Geass posters, like random animes I used to watch, and like, you know, I never like reversed image search and Googled, oh, who made this Code Geass anime poster that's sitting on the wall or whatever. I don't, you know, I don't. Your first instinct when you just see a poster is not to just go, "Who made that?" and deep dive them. So
yeah, are they a pedophile? Yeah,
yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I agree. It's her buying it is very weird, and I obviously, if I had known what I know now, I would have been like, "What the actual fuck?"
Yeah, that's fair. Because I also, after all this stuff, I didn't know who Shadman was. I've heard of him a little bit on Twitter and shit, but I didn't know. Total ignorance there. So. Okay, and that's just one that's important, you know, people, because that's fucked up. That guy is disgusting, and you know, people do care. It's like you've got pedo art, and you were saying you didn't know. That's yeah.
But like, still, man, like, it's a weird drawing of like of a figure that very much looks like a kid. You didn't question it at all then, you know? Like you didn't pull Chris to the side and like, yo man, like what the fuck is this art? Like obviously like I'm not saying that you have to like instantly know who like Shadman is, right? But like it's weird that like it seems like you never questioned the poster. Like I don't have a roommate, right? But if I had a roommate and he was fucking like posting images of like weird art of like a kid, like what looks like a kid, I'm like, yo, what the fuck are you trying to post on the wall right now, bro? Take that shit off. You know. Let's get into like the Jake Weddle stuff right here.
Now on to Jake Weddle.
Yes.
Right. Another guy.
An entire dog pack video.
Yeah, dude. He also has a mustache as well. I'm not sure if you know. There's an interview with a former employee and contestant named Jake Weddle in which he alleges inhumane treatment on set, even war crimes. Use the term of phrase war crimes. How do you respond to these allegations, and do you plan on putting procedures in place to make sure this doesn't happen again?
Yeah. Glad I can talk about this one. So I think I should set the floor because maybe not everyone here fully even knows what the challenge was or anything. So yeah, I think it would make sense to. So for the Weddle video, Jake Weddle was the person who competed in one of my videos. The video was we built a room in our studio, and then the challenge was every day you live in this room, you win $10,000. And then it was like kind of like a white padded room. There's like a pool table, a bed in there, bunch of other items, blah blah. And let me just gather my thoughts on this one. How do I want to say? I think the best way to talk about this is to also talk about how we did
14 pages.
14 pages. Thank you for subscribing.
With other people, because one of the things is like multiple people can do the same thing and experience it differently. That's what's a little tricky about these like contestants-based videos. I can never know 100% how something's going to affect someone, right? So similar to the Weddle video, I just want to lay the foundation before we go in specifically to that. Similar to that, we also did a video where we put did you see the video where we put two people in a room, Bailey and Susie, 100 days trapped together? So one thing that Weddle struggled with was the lights being on, and he mentioned that in the video. But Bailey and Susie, on day 20 of 100 Day Trapped together, I offered to turn the lights off for part of their prize pool, and they said no. And like the lights wasn't, I mean, I'm sure it was difficult, but it wasn't like that big of a difficulty for them. And so it's like something for them that's not that big of a difficulty. For other people can be, challenging and hard. And like what I'm trying to say is you never know how someone's going to react to something, right? It's impossible to fully predict. And so that's one of these variables of these challenges, which is why we give people the ability to quit, you know what I mean, or to leave at any point. And so in his video, he went 11 days, won $110,000, right? I believe it was 11 days. Yeah. Yes. And then he decided to quit on that day. And, he mentions this in his video, like around day 11 or 12. I don't know what the day is off the top of my head, but he was struggling, and so we did turn off.
Stu saying he should have said they made it extra hard for Weddle. It would have been funny. Oh yeah. Like this was all just an op to get fucking Weddle out of the picture. That would have been funny, yeah. But like, Weddle's grievances about the challenge are very valid, in my opinion. Him like straight up saying in the video that what they did to him was a war crime is fucking ridiculous, though, right? Because like the context of his friend saying that was a joke, but like it seemed like whatever manic state he was in, he took that very seriously. I think out of the three, I think Jake has legitimate grievances with MrBeast. I think Dogpack and Rosanna are just exploiting him so that way they have another person on their side. Now, what's funny is out of everyone talking about MrBeast, whether they're pro or against, he's the only one that's been taking money throughout this entire controversy. That's all I'm saying,
We sent a psychiatrist in there to check in on him, and we were like, yeah, he's not doing too well, and we ended the challenge, and we paid him. Didn't go long enough where we got a video, so we didn't end up uploading it. But I think the big thing is just that's why we allow people to leave these challenges. Like my goal when doing these obviously isn't to like, break people mentally or push them past their limits. It's just to like create an environment where they can challenge themselves and do something interesting or cool. And then when they've had it, like leave, you know what I mean? So I guess that's kind of how I would describe it. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on what I'm saying?
I think that makes sense. It's important to note that it's also voluntary.
It's a voluntary challenge. You can leave
People
at any
paid
point.
exponential amounts of money.
Yeah.
And after all that stuff came out, and he sort of made the claims of how he was mistreated, etc. You reached out to him after the fact as well.
Yeah, I mean, now that I didn't want to bring that kind of stuff up, but yeah, also off camera after he made that video, I reached out and was like, hey man, like obviously we weren't trying to cause you any mental stress with that video or anything, and is there any way I can help? And I ended up, he seemed like he really needed some financial help, so I ended up sending him $50,000 completely off camera or anything. I mean, he talked about it publicly so people know, but yeah, I just wanted to make sure he was good.
Oh, wow. You took money from MrBeast after all that stuff you said? Yeah, this money, this $50,000? Well, first of all, you're going to tax it, so let's say it's more like $30,000.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. That's good. Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's to me that one's interesting because it's just a sort of a voluntary challenge, and it's difficult to it's a very YouTube thing, right? It's a very YouTube thing, and the comparison of that to like war crimes, fairly tone deaf.
Yeah,
right? To compare it, like that's a ridiculous thing to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can move on from that. To be honest, there was litigation.
Now, okay, this is another interesting one I want to watch.
Found against you surrounding Beast Games, your show on Amazon, in regard to unsafe workplace conditions, and a bunch of talk of, files and videos and images and everything being sent to documentaries and all this shit coming out in regard to the Beast Games show on Amazon. Yeah. What is the litigation that?
Well,
found against you.
You know how litigation is. Obviously, I'm not allowed to talk about it, which is a little. There's a lot of things I want to say here, so this is good. Trying to think specifically on the lawsuit that. So for context, so people have 5 anonymous Beast Game employees, or not employees, 5 anonymous Beast Game contestants submitted a lawsuit, and they sent it to the press, but conveniently all the actual claims are redacted, blacked out, so you can't actually see it. And I'm not allowed to disclose what's behind those black lines. But, Beast Games, we had 1,000 people. We were doing big stuff. And just like with my normal videos, I'm not trying to say, everything went great. One thing that happened when we were filming one part of Beast Games is, you remember CrowdStrike? That was pretty brutal. We had the most contestants of any game show in history together. That was weirdly... God hates me during the CrowdStrike accident. And so as we're eliminating hundreds of people and trying to get them home, airports all across America are down, hotel room keys aren't working, and that created a lot of confusion and that caused a lot of problems in our systems, and that was pretty brutal.
And this is where I figured oh well, I can't speak on that legally, this type of thing. That being said, I mean the lawsuit's happening, and if there are legitimate grievances, let's be honest, the contestants, if they don't win in court, they're probably going to settle out of court. That's my guess. That's probably what's going to happen. But yeah, that's this is more just a quick overview of some of the stuff, because like I said earlier, I can't really comment on on everything, because especially with some stuff already kind of melds into the other. Technically we already talked about a good chunk of the charity stuff, I feel. But regardless, guys, thank you so much for watching today's episode. Remember to comment and subscribe if you're new, and thank you to all the members. You guys make this stuff possible. This Nerdy John signing out. Take care.